All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Well,
We're recording episode 9 today of Caps on the Coast. And it's an exciting time for soccer fans around the world right now. We're officially 100 days away from the start of the 2026 World Cup, which will be hosted by, of course, Canada, the United States, and Mexico. So, yeah, we're ramping up here. There's lots of soccer news to dive into. Some Whitecaps stuff. We've had 2 games since our last episode, so we're going to break down those games. But to start off, we're going to talk about Canada and how they're looking ahead of the World Cup. I think that there is some reason to be concerned about injuries and the political climate and sense of under preparation for the tournament in Canada and in the US. I'm not so sure of how things are going down in Mexico, but you kind of get the sense that there should be some more buzz around soccer and that the focus should be on the players and the teams rather than the political issues and all this different stuff that's going on. So, yeah, there's lots to break down today, but I'm looking forward to getting into it as always. And yeah, how are you feeling, Grandpa?
feeling excited again. 100 days now before the World Cup starts. Unfortunately, the politics have dominated, like you say, the chatter a little bit. But you know, we're excited, and it's not every day we have a World Cup being played here in Canada, part of the World Cup. So there's lots to look forward to, and lots of games to look forward to.
Yeah. And I think before we get into the players and the coach and the team itself, let's talk a bit about how Canada has been preparing for the tournament. We know that Toronto will be hosting a number of matches, same as Vancouver. I think just under 10 matches in each city. So they're going to, of course, have to put in a lot of preparation in the next 3 months leading up to the tournament. We know that both pitches have to be grass at BC Place and BMO Field. So
Definitely.
that is, of course, of concern that the grass hasn't been installed yet. And I know BMO Stadium has to increase their seating capacity as well. So they're gonna be adding in some sections for fans to sit and watch the game. BC Place sits 55,000, so they're not as concerned about the fan seating situation, but
Hmm.
they have to build up some hype around the tournament, of course. And I don't think we've seen enough of chatter and news around the tournament so far in the city. I know the media outlets have been doing their best to promote the tournament, but you just don't really feel a buzz in terms of you would like to see some more construction with the fan watch parties. The Peony Forum is supposed to have an amphitheater built to have watch parties at the Peony, but we haven't seen any construction even be done there yet. I'm not sure if it's underway or not, but I haven't heard any news about it. So yeah, how do you think Canada is trying to prepare, and do you think they've done enough up to this point?
Well, it looks like it's going to be sort of last minute in the sense that we're only 100 days away. We haven't heard too much. Where I heard Surrey, the city of Surrey, is going to have three venues for watch parties. The Granville Island is looking at an area there for a watch party. I know from what I've understand, the businesses that are on the perimeter of BC Place, they're waiting to find out more about what's going to happen with their businesses, if they're going to extend the area around BC Place. There seems to be a certain amount of uncertainty about last minute things, preparation. So we're not hearing a lot. It's yeah. So it's a concern. Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing that's of big worry is ticket sales and ticket prices. I know a lot of fans are angry, of course, about how FIFA has been doing this whole ticketing process with all the different draws and entries and how hard it is to get your hands on tickets, which is, of course, expected with a World Cup because like a lot of people want to go and watch the games. But the ticket prices, what people are charging in the aftermarket, are based off of what FIFA was charging originally. And I think it's reflected on what people are paying now. So it is definitely a bit outrageous what is charged for some of these tickets. And it's going to affect people's ability to watch games and even maybe who don't want to support the tournament because of the price gouging that's been going on. So I think
Hmm.
that's another point of contention with the tournament. People are going to be worried about it for sure. And of course, we have the politics that come into play a bit, not with Canada as much, but the United States have been very involved in different wars lately abroad, recently in Iran. There's a conflict that started in the last, couple months. Well, it's been
Yeah.
going on for like decades, really, internally with the Iranian regime, but the U.S. has implicated themselves along with Israel. I mean, I guess the whole message with that is we don't want politics to pull fans away from the meaning of
Mm.
soccer, which is to bring people together. And I think that's the worry with all these wars. So, yeah.
Yeah. There's one other thing I could mention that yesterday on television I saw a fan who has tickets for the game. He's coming from Europe, and he's and the report involved him having a very hard time finding hotel accommodation in Vancouver. There seems to be a scarcity and of hotel rooms, and those that are available have been gouging going on, extremely high prices, and very limited accommodation. So that's for fans, wanting to come from a distance and having difficulties already finding hotel rooms.
Yeah, it's concerning because I feel like Vancouver and Toronto are like very multicultural cities that are well equipped to host fans from other countries and to put on these
Mm-hmm.
matches. They already have the infrastructure that is needed to do it. And I think they've just had problems making these small adjustments that are going to have a huge effect on the tournament. So, in the next couple months, we hope to hear more on the fronts of building watch parties, as a lot of fans won't be able to attend the matches in person, but they will be hoping to watch them in big crowds and support the country. And yeah, we need more hype built up around the team itself as well, so we can get into the players and some of the worries we have with the team right now. But yeah, let's get into that because we
Okay.
did a good job of giving an overview of what's been going on in Canada. So, of course, with the players, there's quite a few injuries right now. We discussed a lot of those in our last episode, episode 8 of Caps on the Coast, if you guys want to go check that out. So, yeah, how are you feeling about the team right now? I think there's a reason to be concerned about fitness levels for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are at fitness level getting back into form with these many injuries, which we're talking about amongst our potentially starting lineup. Will they be ready? Will they be ready to play? Davies, he started to apparently kick a ball around and do some training after his latest injury. But the question is, will he be fit enough to play? And that's one example. We've yeah, it's a concern
Promise David
that
as well.
pardon?
Promise David as
Promise
well.
David. Promise David is another player that will he be available? His injury is more serious than Davies, but will he be in a position, even though he might have recovered pretty well, will he have touched the ball much since? And you just can't throw him out there on a World Cup game without him being physically prepared as well as mentally prepared. So that's another good example. Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing about the friendlies coming up in March is ideally Jesse Marsh, the head coach, would have all of these players available to make sure that he's getting things in order before the tournament. He would want his starting back line with Alphonso Davies. I would say Alistair Johnson would be in that mix as well. Moise Bombito and Derek Cornelius. Those are his 4 starters at center back if everyone's fully fit. And at this point in time, it doesn't look like he'll have any of them. So
Mm-hmm.
that's very worrying. They have all played together before, of course, for many years now, but it's going to be hard for them to come back together and gel right away like they've done in the past after not playing
Exactly.
together for almost over a year
Yeah.
for some of them. So,
Yeah.
like I know with Moise
Yeah.
Bombito, he's just coming back. He fractured his tibia and he broke it, and he's now been doing some light training, so that's good news. Derek Cornelius probably won't be available for these March windows. Alphonso Davies just had a muscle fiber tear, but it looks like he's already doing some light training again, so that's really good news.
Mm-hmm.
And then Alistair Johnson should be back in the next month. So it's unlikely that a lot of these guys will be available for March, but hopefully come June, they'll be in good shape. They'll have have a couple months to train with their team and get back up to full fitness. And of course, that's depending on their injuries if everything goes to plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, we look to see them back soon. Schaffelberg is injured. He's supposed to be out for another month or so. Promise David, as we said, just got injured. His timeline is 3 to 6 months. So I think that pretty much puts him out of the World Cup zone. Even if he makes a recovery in 3 months, is he going to play in the World Cup? Probably not, because he won't be in shape. It's also down to Jesse Marsch whether or not he wants to take a risk with these players, because in the past he's taken risks with a player like Alphonso Davies when he maybe wasn't fully fit, but he trusts him so much that he put him in, and there was some injury situation. So yeah, it's really tough for Marsch to manage all these players, but it's going to be tough for him to not have much time to work with them leading up to the tournament. But out of the players that we didn't mention, who do you think is in the best form right now? And who do you think is going to be the most reliable?
Well, Ali Ahmed is having a really good run at Norwich in England in the Championship League. You know, he's played 9 games with them. He scored 3 goals, 2 assists. Recent match versus Leicester City. Norwich won 2-0 against Leicester City, and he scored a goal. He has been, I don't think anyone realized just how well he was going to fit into the Norwich lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they were in danger when he went over there. Norwich were in danger of being relegated. They were basically at the bottom of the Championship League, and that's no longer the case.
They've
The team
only lost 1 match since he's come in.
Yeah. They're on a good run, and Ahmed is playing well and much, I think, better than any of us could have imagined. The other person who's having a good run over there is Coney, playing for Sassuolo. I'm not sure I pronounced it right. He's got 5 goals. The latest one, they're both playing the full game, 90 minutes. His team beat Atalanta 2-1, and he scored a goal in that game. So, you know, that's so positive for both of those players. He seems to be in really good form. And of course, we've got Eustachio now playing for LAFC. And just recently, in a 2-0 win, I believe it was, over Houston, he scored himself on a beautiful 20-yard drive to the corner, you know, with his right shot, right foot. And he's been a very welcome addition to the LAFC. If he continues, you know, this kind of thing, he'll be playing his form. He'll be certainly ready for the World Cup. So those are 3 players who are, you know, showing that they are ready for the World Cup. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we need some players to step up in these times, because with all the injuries, there's going to be a lack of leadership in the locker room, I think. And Stefan Eustachio, as we have spoken about before, is a great leader, and he's going to be crucial in that midfield. And I think him and Kone are going to, you know, they're going to define how far we go in this tournament, because they're going to play as a double pivot in the midfield with the 4-4-2 formation. And Marsch will be looking to them to, you know, set the tempo and dictate play and move the ball around the field. So it's really important that those two go into the tournament with good form from their clubs. And I think this shows why Eustachio chose the move to LAFC, because he's been getting a lot of playing time to start off right away. He's played 3 90-minute games in a row now. He's had a couple of assists. He had a beautiful goal, as you said. So he's playing wonderful to start the season, and he's playing with other Canadians as well, like Matthew Chouanière, and if Schaffelberg will be back soon, hopefully they can build up some chemistry as well. So I think it's turning out to be a good move thus far for him, and he's really establishing himself in the league right away as a big time player. And then Kone has been super impressive in Serie A, which is a very tough league. There's some extremely good teams that are doing well in the Champions League, like Inter Milan and a few others. So there's top quality in Italy, and Kone is establishing himself as one of the best midfielders in the league this season. And there's lots of rumors that he might be getting a transfer to one of the big clubs there, like Inter Milan or Roma or AC Milan. So he's definitely drawing interest from other clubs. So it's great for him and Ali Ahmed as well. That like the thing with Ahmed and Kone is they're both very young in the squad. There's lots of veteran presence in the team, but they're two of the younger players that start matches. So it's super important for them to have confidence going into the tournament because with the young players, sometimes it's hard to find that confidence. But I think they've
No.
found it in the championship and in Italy. So
Hmm.
yeah, they'll be crucial for our World Cup success as well. And another player I want to point out is Jonathan David. He's been doing quite well for Juventus,
Hmm.
um, a striker, of course. And I think if we score many goals in this tournament, it'll largely be due to his contributions. He's the most
Hmm.
likely goal scorer, I think, from the Canadian national team. So hopefully he
Hmm.
can get some more goals. He's been kind of up and down in the last few weeks. He hasn't found the back of the net, but I've been really impressed with his link up play with other players. And I think he offers so much more than just goals for Juventus as well. So hopefully he can bring the same kind of impact to Canada come March, and hopefully they can establish themselves. And we're going to talk about the Whitecaps pretty soon here, but Ralph Priso is another player who we've been talking about so much on the podcast, but he's really just been putting himself in other players' minds and in other media outlets' minds because he's been playing so well with the Whitecaps, and with all the injuries at the back line, he might put himself in the mix for a call up with Jesse Marsh. I think Marsh would do good to bring him in this next window in March and really give him a good go at center back because he's been so reliable for the Whitecaps. So that's another player who I think we should keep an eye out on. And yeah, I want to hand it over to you now to break down Max Crepeau and Dane St. Clair. They played each other over the weekend with Inter Miami and Orlando. Orlando won that match, or sorry, Inter Miami won that match 4-2. But Crepeau and St. Clair was kind of the tale of two halves. So yeah, what did you note from their performances in that game?
Well, a tale of two halves. It was a rather unusual game in the sense that Orlando, they call it Orlando and Miami, they're calling it the Florida Derby. I played in Orlando. Orlando was up 2-0 at halftime, and Max Crepeau, made a couple of really good saves. He looked very stable in that first half, and of course he hadn't allowed any goals. And then come the second half, it's a flip side of things where St. Clair, who we thought, looked a little weak on at least one of the two Orlando goals. And Messi and his entourage there went to work and scored 4 goals in the second half without a reply from Orlando. So and this is where St. Clair, no goals on St. Clair, but 4 goals on Crepeau. So uh, in that sense, it was neither of them had what you call a very good game in that sense. That 6 goals were scored between the two teams, and they both made mistakes. So these are their number 1 and 2 or number 1 and 2 goals for Canada. So it wasn't a particularly strong display by either of them. Although, some of the goals were good goals, it would be difficult for any goalie to stop some of those shots. But still, it was a very unusual game in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like Crepeau looked very good in the first half, like you said. Stopped
Yeah.
Messi on one chance that I thought was really a good goal scoring opportunity for Messi, and he made a beautiful save. And then kind of messed up in the second half where Messi scored a free kick on him and he dived for the ball and it just went under him. So it wasn't a great showing. But then St. Clair played, pretty good in the second half, but in the first half he made some mistakes. So it was really back and forth, and I think Jesse Marsh probably just has an absolute headache right now, just looking at the two goalies and just like crying out for one of them to be consistent and establish themselves in the league. Like it just
Hmm.
seems like neither of them can find consistency to start the season.
No, no.
But St. Clair was the goalkeeper of the year last year, so Miami are
Yeah,
going to be expecting big things from him, and I could see the March window being another situation where Marsh gives one game to St. Clair and one game to Crépeau, and just sees how they do for the national team, because
yeah,
it's so
yeah.
hard
I
like
think he
it's
will
so
do
hard to
that.
choose one right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
But let's move on now. Let's talk a bit about the Whitecaps here. They've had a tremendous start to the season. Now they've kept 4 clean sheets in a row, 2 against Cartagena, and then 2 coming in MLS against Toronto and Real Salt Lake on opening day. So they've looked great to start off the season. And just this weekend, they beat Toronto 3-0 in Vancouver. It was quite a statement win from the team, and it looks like they're finally starting to put the puzzle together and create some more chances, and they're looking a lot more dangerous than they did in the first 2 matches. So yeah, what did you note from the Toronto game? Did you think they were dominant?
They certainly were dominant in possession. I feel they had a stronger first half than the second half in the sense that they scored 3 goals. The 3 goals were scored in the first half, and Mueller had a very good first half. He scored from the penalty, and it was I think it was am I right? Jackson, who drew the penalty. He had the ball and moved into the penalty area, and he was pulled around in the penalty area, pulled down to the ground, and Amula had a beautiful penalty shot, made it right to the corner, low to the corner. The second goal, it was from a corner, and Laborda headed the ball across the goal area, and it was like magic. Mueller was there
All in
just
the
right as the ball hit the ground to put the ball in the net. It was a beautiful goal, a beautiful 1-2 from Laborda to Mueller. He looked dominant, Mueller. He really looked like he belonged. He was providing the leadership which the Caps are wanting on the field. Say another coach on the field um, with his experience, and they played very well. Toronto came back a little bit in the second half, and had a little more possession, but it was a good win for the Caps, and it was good to see them score some goals, right? I mean, that's 4 games now they played, including the 2 games, 2 MLS games, and 2 with the Costa Rican side, Cartagena, and they haven't allowed a goal yet. So the defense is very solid back there, playing well, but there's a concern. The goals weren't coming very well. They did win their second game against Cartagena 2-0, but that was in the second half. They scored their 2 goals. So for 3 halves, they hadn't scored against in the CONCACAF matchup. So to see them score 3 goals is, this is what they were doing last year, and it was good to see that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's interesting how much of an impact Mueller has had, like when he's on the field versus off the field. Against Cartagena, we saw that the Whitecaps were struggling to create like solid goal scoring opportunities in the first half. And then Mueller
Hmm.
came on in the second half and just completely changed the complexity of the
Yeah,
game. And
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
like
yeah.
night and day with him on the field.
Night and day.
And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, they looked great. Cabrera scored a half volley from a corner kick,
yeah.
and then
Beautiful.
Berhalter had a beautiful shot as well at the end of the game to just kind of put a
Hmm.
seal on the match and end it. So that's kind of
Hmm.
when the tide started to change for the Whitecaps. I think when Mueller came on in that second half, we looked much more dominant against Cartagena, and yeah, created lots of chances and kind of just showed what me and you had been asking to see from the team for the whole season up to that point. It's only been a couple games, but we were asking for some more goal scoring opportunities because we know the team is capable of creating them, and that's what they did all last season. So it looks like they're starting to gel a bit more now and understand each other. There's new wingers. Bodwall has been playing on the wing and also in the middle. He's looked like he's taking leaps forward this season. AZ Jackson on the other side on the left wing has been playing great. Drew a penalty in the Toronto game, as you said, so he's been looking very good. Brian White, he was struggling. He missed some chances. He missed a penalty. He also missed a tap in almost on the goal line where he just, he had almost a whole net to shoot at, but there was one defender and he kicked it right at him.
Yeah.
So we were worried, but then in the second half, he scores a goal, the final goal of the game to seal the 3-0 win against Toronto.
Yeah.
White's been making some good moves lately as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's encouraging from the team as a whole. And I think we're just gonna like see them get better and better as the season goes on. And I don't even think they've reached full stride yet at all. I still think there's another gear that they can click into.
It was good to see White score because he had been struggling, right? The first few games of the year. And he was missing a couple of chances, and you could see how excited he was after he scored that goal the other day. It was like it was his, 25th goal of the year or whatever. He was jumping for joy, and
Yeah.
I think hopefully that renews some of his confidence that he needs, right? As a striker, he needs that confidence.
Yeah, and also that was Brian White's 80th goal with the Whitecaps. So he's now the second all-time goal scorer with the club, which is a huge achievement for him. I know he doesn't like to talk much about himself, but I'm sure he's proud of that achievement because it's a big deal. He's only been with the Whitecaps for 4 seasons, so to be able to score 80 goals in 4 seasons, that's pretty good in the MLS. Those are good numbers to be putting up. And he's now behind Dominic Mobilio, who's in first place, and he has 160 goals for the club. White's got a long way to go if he wants to catch up to that first place spot.
I had no idea he scored that many goals.
Yeah.
Dominic Mobilio.
It was a different time back then, so
yeah,
it's hard to compare, but a club legend. Yeah, he's scored a lot of important goals with the Whitecaps over the years, so I think White's been a great acquisition for this club. He was brought in for very little money, I think, maybe under $1 million in general allocation money at the time. I think 500,000, and from the New York Red Bulls, where he was playing all right. But credit to Axel Schuster for identifying that he still had another gear that he could kick into if he was put under the right management and the right club. And they certainly have been getting the most out of him over the years. So credit to the Whitecaps for identifying him as a player of interest. But I think let's talk about Toronto and Montreal a bit as well. As a Canadian fan, you always want to see the other Canadian teams do well, unless it's against your own club, Vancouver. So it's a big concern how both of those teams have started the season. Toronto, now 2 losses in their first 2 matches, looked very uninspired, I would say, against Vancouver. Didn't hardly created a chance. The one good chance they had, Takaoka made a beautiful save. Credit to him for standing on his head. But Toronto have been, not gelling very well with their new players. They did make quite a few signings in the offseason, so it's going to take some time. Josh Sargent, their most expensive transfer of all time, $27 million all in, hasn't played any minutes yet, so they'll obviously be relying on him a lot this season for goals. There's going to be a huge pressure on his shoulders to score and have a 20 plus goal season for them. Walker Zimmerman didn't look great in the match against Vancouver. Aziel Jackson drew the penalty against him as he kind of put him in a blender in the box, turning left and right. So Toronto got a lot to work on, but Montreal as well are not looking good. They had a very poor performance against Chicago. They lost 3-0, and they had Chicago had a red card in the second half, or almost the entire second half. Yeah, what have you been seeing so far from the other 2 MLS Canadian teams?
Well, like you say, first of all, Toronto, they didn't show too much against Vancouver. The one really good shot, like you say, Takioka made a point-blank save there. He looked very good on that. But they were not pressuring our defense too much at all, and 1 or 2 chances only. So Toronto, they're relying on Sargent to come and join them and score some goals. Montreal, they're right at the bottom of the league with, they played 2 games and they've had 8 goals scored against them.
Yeah, 0 goals scored.
So what does that tell you? What does that tell you about how much they're struggling? They lost 5-0 to San Diego. Both games, of course, are away, and 5-0 and then 3-0 against Chicago. So they definitely need to bolster their defense. they cannot allow that many goals in 2 games and have any hope of even a tie. They've got to get out, improve their defensive work. They've got some new players. They're again like Toronto, trying to gel. Julian Neal, LA Galaxy. Aviles on loan from Inter Miami. Prestasco from Orlando. Luca is a Canadian defender. I just noticed these names coming up who are new to the team, and it's going to take some time for them to gel. But yeah, they're struggling for sure at this point.
Yeah, Montreal brought in a few like decent signings in the offseason. They don't like to look to European talent, it seems. They look to search locally in the MLS and especially young Canadians they've been developing over the years. But their model is kind of to bring in young Canadians, turn them into solid players, and then flip them and make a profit. I think that's been their kind of overall model with the team. We've seen lots of good Canadian players leave and go to other clubs, like Ismail Kone, if you remember, used to play for Montreal, and now he's in Europe. Yeah, like Dagger Torhalson is a player they brought in from Orlando City, and he was a very good defender for Orlando, but for some reason they're playing him on the wing. It's probably due to them not having like any depth in the attacking positions. And then Brian Vera, another MLS veteran, played for Real Salt Lake, who's been a solid defender. They brought him in. He's a center back, so he'll be looking to get some more minutes and start playing good football for them. But yeah, Thomas Aviles, as you said, got a red card, I think, in their first game, or it might have been their second game, but he's been getting red cards a lot in the MLS. With Inter Miami, he, I think, had 4 red cards in 2 seasons, so he needs to watch that for sure. But yeah, I think Montreal are going to have a really rough season, and they got to find some way of generating some hope so that they don't just give up altogether. Because obviously it's super distasteful to be losing matches by that kind of goal margins, especially when the other team is down a man. And yeah, Toronto are going to have to do better as well. But it's good for the Whitecaps that they're not doing well, because it means we can do better in the Canadian Championship, and we'll be regarded as the best Canadian team in the MLS again. But just for the Canadian soccer market in general, you want all the teams playing well. So yeah, hopefully they make some good strides this year and turn it around a bit in the next few games. But yeah, looking forward to this weekend now. The Whitecaps have a matchup against Portland. Coming on Saturday, they're going to be playing in Portland, a Cascadia rivalry, and Portland, I think, lost, was it 2 or 3-0 last game? They didn't have a very good game, so yeah, the Whitecaps will be looking to capitalize on some bad form leading into this match, and then they'll be looking to keep another clean sheet. It's going to be tough playing away from home, but I wouldn't put it past them. They've looked very solid in defense, as we said, 4 clean sheets to start the season. So yeah, what do you think are the keys to success this week for the Whitecaps?
Yeah, Portland, they did lose 2-0 to Colorado in the last game. They're sitting 12th out of 15 teams in the Western Conference, so they're third from the bottom. But I think they're definitely a stronger team, let's say, than Toronto. They're gonna provide a good competitive game. Certainly playing at home. There's a strong team at home. It's an intimate stadium. The fans are super supportive and noisy there. So it's going to be a game that the Whitecaps will have to play well to win. But the Whitecaps, turning the clock back a bit, I remember they ended up playing a home game in Portland a few years ago. They probably, certainly the older players on the Whitecaps, it wasn't that long ago, would probably feel quite comfortable playing in Portland. And the Whitecaps always play well. They did last year. Were very strong on the road. So that's a good positive thing for them to think about, and they'll prepare well for a road game. Yeah,
Yeah,
should be a good one.
the game you're referring to was a play-in game in the MLS playoffs
Oh yeah,
two seasons ago, and they ended up winning that match 5-0 against Portland
yeah,
in Portland. So they really took the home away match literal, and
yeah,
it made it feel
yeah.
like a home match just by how they dominated it. And then to kick off the season last year, they played away in Portland and they won that game 4-1. So they've had a lot of recent success down there.
That's right.
And I think they're motivated by the Cascadia rivalry as well. They take it seriously. That trophy is handed out at the end of every season to the best Cascadia team who collected the most points. So that's between Portland, Vancouver, and Seattle. Whichever team beats the other ones the most or gets the best results against those teams wins that trophy. So they'll be looking to continue on that note and keep their winning streak up. It would be important to start the season off with 9 wins. And then next Wednesday as well, they'll be playing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup against Seattle. So another Cascadia matchup in a different tournament, albeit. But yeah, that's going to be a tough game. I think the first match is at home in Vancouver against Seattle, and then the second leg will be away in Seattle. So I think Seattle have been having some stadium issues with Lumen Field, so they won't be playing at Lumen Field. So that could work to our advantage, being that they're not.
I believe they're gonna play that game, Ty, in Spokane.
Yeah.
In Spokane, which I'm happy for the Spokane city of Spokane. It's they're gonna benefit from having a big match played there.
Yeah, they'd be excited for sure to host a match of that magnitude. But Whitecaps are going to have to put on 2 great performances if they want to advance in the next match or in the next matchup, because Seattle are a good team and they usually do well in knockout style tournaments. Even if they're not playing so well during the regular season, they always seem to turn it on for tournaments. So yeah, the Whitecaps will be looking to advance to another final in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, but they'll have another few teams to go through before they can get to that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a lot to look forward to in the next few weeks. Some exciting matchups. Hopefully the Whitecaps continue on a good note as they've done so far. A win against Seattle and Portland would do them a world of good. And we'll see some more clean sheets, I would think, because of how well the defense has been performing. So yeah, what's your overall sentiment with the start to this season for the Whitecaps and how it's going to look over the next couple months?
Well, I'm positive. I'm positive. We had a bit of a slow start in the CONCACAF, but we're starting to score goals. Like we're saying, our defense is as strong as we could ever hope it to be at this point. So I think we can maintain this momentum we've established now. If we can maintain that over the next couple of foreseeable future, including the next couple of games, we'll be well on our way to having a lot of success like we had last year. Yeah, I'm positive about things.
Yeah, I agree with you on that note. It's been a great start, and we're looking forward to everything that's to come. World Cup only 100 days away now, so I think we're going to see a lot of news in the next few weeks about what the tournament's going to look like in particular. In March, there'll be the play-in games for the teams that aren't going to be like for the play-in into the groups. There's a couple European play-ins. So Canada will find out who they'll be facing off in Toronto on their opening match. And it could be Italy. That's the favorite to go through. But given Italy hasn't looked great in recent years, there's a possibility that it could be Wales or Northern Ireland or Bosnia. One of those 3 teams as well. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out on that. And we're going to keep you guys updated on everything Whitecaps and Canada soccer. So make sure to drop a like, drop a comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more about the World Cup and about the Whitecaps. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yeah, thanks. And we hope to see you again soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.